I'm checking out the ERAD mid-drive from Electric Cycles, and this is the 350 watt kit. They have 3 of them. This is sort of the entry level, and it comes in a few different flavors. So the stock size in terms of diameter for your bottom bracket is 73 millimeters, and if you want to pay a little bit more, you can increase that width or the length of that bottom bracket, and that's really cool because it'll allow you to ride different bikes, like a tandem bike that might have a different bottom bracket size, or a fat bike, or Trek and Giant mountain bikes. They have this BB86, BB90, BB92, and BB95, and those are not only sort of a longer bottom bracket size, but they're also a little bit fatter, so there's kind of a special shim that they give you. So for 200 extra bucks, you get this highly modified system, and it's really cool to see that kind of, I guess, just flexibility in a drive system that's become really popular. So really, it's an 8Fun mid-drive, but it's been branded ERAD because they modify the firmware in it, and they also have some physical differentiators. They have like a shift sensor, so I'm going to show that when we get in there, but I did want to call that out. They also have a 100 millimeter bottom bracket, and again, the BB, the press fit design, that's pretty cool. They also come with 2 different battery size options. So this is the 350 watt kit. It's a 36 volt system. They have 2 battery options for this: 36 volt 11 amp hour and 36 volt 14.5 amp hour. And those, they're kind of separate, so you can kind of build yourself a kit. They've got really great Panasonic cells inside. They're sort of like hardwired, so it's a little bit more rugged and should hold up better over time. It comes with a 1-year warranty, comprehensive on all of this stuff, which is really solid. This company's been around since mid-2012, doing a great job, and they've got like 55 dealers in the US. They also sell to Canada or other countries like the UK, Australia, so you could kind of build your bike using one of these nice mid-drive systems, but you can end up with shift sensing. You can end up with a system that's just, they've kind of chosen the components, the hardware, to be a little bit more durable. And next year, we're doing this in kind of mid-2015, but next year they're going to have, and actually starting this year, I should say, this kind of like lower profile battery pack that fits on some bikes a little bit better and looks really nice. Right now they're using this sort of Dolphin style, and it's not bad. It's got like an LED charge level indicator, a USB charger. It's removable for charging off the bike, locking. It's a good system, but it's just neat. They're really stepping up their game, and these guys, they move a lot of units, so they're able to sort of custom order different pieces and really, make some good decisions that way. Using a mid-drive to begin with, you're going to be able to leverage your bottom bracket and get a really efficient ride and climb better, and all kinds of benefits. So why don't I just jump in? I'm going to do like an unboxing. I'm actually at their headquarters here in Tempe, Arizona. I've got some of their guys here giving me some space on the workbench, and I've been test riding a bunch of the different bikes, all using different versions of their kits. And again, this is sort of their entry price point model that might be great for kind of cruising around town, or depending on your weight or your needs, this is going to be the most cost-effective way to go. So time for an unboxing. This is really cool. So this is how it might arrive to you. You can buy it direct from them on their website, electriccycles.com. It's like Electric Cycles, but without the E. Or you can go to one of those dealers and get some help installing it. So, there's a lot of different stuff in here. Kind of going to go through. Got the pieces for the bottom bracket there. Got some crank arms. And this one comes stock with the, it's like a steel chainring that's maybe a little bit larger than some of their off-road bikes. They do offer like the Raceface NW narrow wide chainring for people who want to go off-road and sort of have fewer teeth and improve their leverage that way. So it's got a nice bash guard here, and then there's the chainring. Do you know how many teeth are on this chainring, the stock chainring?
No, it should be 46.
It's like 40.
Yeah, 46.
46, and on the NW, do you know what that one is?
Go from 34 to 42.
34 to 42. Okay, interesting. So we've got the some kind of standard grip, like twist throttle package here, so you'd swap these out for your standard grips. And then I love these. These are color coded cables, because this does have sort of a brake sensor cutoff. So when you pull the brake, it it sends a signal to cut the motor power, and that's really great, especially because this uses a pedal assist sensor that's fairly responsive. It's like a movement sensor. I want to call it a cadence sensor, but it just senses that you're pedaling along, versus a torque sensor or a bike speed sensor. So it's not measuring as many variables as something like a Bosch system or Impulse 2 system, but it's actually fairly responsive. And my big complaint about, again, these sort of 8Fun or Bafang manufactured motors in the past is that they didn't have shift sensing, and that's one area that they've really improved upon the product with the ERAD system, because it does. They've got this really cool shift sensor. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out in just a second, but I did want to weigh this. There we go. Wow, 36 volt, 18 amps. So that's, the amps is kind of what's going to give you that power when you're using this. I'm going to just try to weigh this real quick just on its own. The 350 watt motor here, again, without cranks, it's like 8.45 pounds, plus some bubble wrap. We'll take that off. 8.40 pounds. Look at that. That's awesome. So that's stock. Again, 73 millimeters. And maybe weigh these batteries out a little bit. So this is the 36 volt, 11 amp hour. Looking at 6.85 pounds. And this is the 14.5 amp hours, 36 volt. 7. Okay, so it's like half a pound more. Not bad. So, you know, if you're building out a bike and you know how much the bike weighs, you can just kind of add these different components to get some idea of what the overall weight is going to be ultimately. I was actually watching them build one of these really cool shift sensors earlier, but what they do is essentially they run cabling through this little switch that has a roller in it. In fact, I can show it somewhere over here. Is this? Maybe it's over here. There it is. So there's a cable running through this little box, right? And there's like a wheel. And so when the cable kind of runs over that wheel, it sends a signal to the motor to cut off temporarily, and that's going to significantly reduce the strain and wear that you get on this cassette or this freewheel in the back. So these cogs won't get, you know, bent and banged up. The chain should not be, you know, stressed quite as much. So that's a huge step up. This is, and I think they've got kind of the distribution rights in the US or North America for a few years out. So maybe 2018 time frame. These are kind of the only guys that are going to be able to offer this, and that's a huge deal to me. So earlier I was showing you the, you know, mid-mounted battery design from them, and I was talking about how you could use it on really almost any bike because they've got the bottom bracket adapters and stuff. They really do a lot of custom work to make that happen. There's like a machine shop right across the street, and they work directly with them to add on for the width, to make it work with press fitting, to get those shims right. And, you know, again, you kind of looking around, you can see that they've been experimenting with a lot of different platforms. But one of the big things that I love about a mid-drive, aside from the efficiency of using your cassette or your geared hub or whatever, is that it keeps the weight really low and center. And that's great for handling and for performance. If you have like a full suspension bike where you've got movement in that sort of the swing arm in the rear, you're reducing your unsprung weight there by putting it there in the middle and really low on the frame. You've got that nice kind of metal casing. It all stays, you know, pretty much out of the way. And then you've got this mid-mounted battery pack that also keeps the weight low and centered. But if you're someone who's going for this mid-step design here on this Townie, as an example of a bike that they could convert, well, they've also got a rear battery rack option. It looks pretty good. It's nice that you can do both of these, again, yourself by buying a kit directly from them on their website with all these options to choose from, or you work with one of those local shops, and they've got like a dealer finder on Electric Cycles website. So that's cool as well. They sell pre-built bikes. If you just want to buy straight from these guys, there's no shop nearby, and they're in the like $2,000 price range. I mean, I think this one's like $1,900, and then it's like $2,200 depending on which bike frame you want. There's too many options to go into here, but I did want to say, you know, for that like $2,000, $2,500 price range, you get a pretty solid system with the shift sensing, with a pretty, like nicely upgraded drive that would be hard to get on your own. This is also a Gen 4 Bafang mid drive, and it's it's kind of co-branded as eRad, which is cool because they do so much business with them. So I hope that gives you some idea of what we've got here. Now I want to talk about the bike itself. So let's pretend you bought one of these and you converted it, or you worked with a shop. It's all set up, ready to go. What would you do? Well, you charge this battery. You could charge it on or off the bike, which is great for if you're like a commuter, or if it's super hot or cold and you're parking your bike in the garage, you want to take that pack with you inside just to keep it away from the elements and from some of those harsh conditions. This battery also has a controller built in, so it should manage balancing the cells effectively. And they say their warranty is like 1,000 cycles or that 1 year, which is really solid. And with the Panasonic cells, you're getting a solid deal there. So the next thing you do is press this power button, boop, which could be kind of a for me it's like 2 steps. You power it on there and then you have to power it on again up here, but it's pretty close. It's not, unless you get the rear rack, it's fairly easy to kind of remember that. And I think it might also be a safety issue too, in some cases, depending on if you're shipping this battery. These guys are insured as a manufacturer, which is really cool. So if you're a shop that's working with them, that's important. That they're doing this the right way. Again, these guys have been around since mid-2012, and I just get the impression that like they've thought through a lot of this stuff. We've got the LED power indicator on the side. I love that, because let's say that the battery isn't on the bike and you're not sure if you charged it or not. Well, you can find out that way. The new pack also has that. You got a fuse here, and then you've even got like a USB charger on this old design, so you can charge your phone or something like that. It's pretty cool. Again, this is the Dolphin case, and there's the removal slot. So battery's all set. Next, press this little power button here, and the display comes to life. Look at that. Very cool. So by default, it shows your current speed. You've got 5 bars on your battery. Pedal assist level goes up to 5. There's a light sensor, so see if I cover that, you can see the backlighting coming on. This is just, it's a fairly standard grayscale backlit LCD panel. And it's mounted in such a way that it should fit nicely over your stem, and you might be able to swivel it if you don't over tighten it, but it doesn't swivel too easily, and it's not removable. So just kind of keep that in mind depending on where you park. I think it's pretty well sealed against water. Then this nice button pad, they do have extenders, so you can actually mount this if you have really wide handlebars, but as you can see here, pretty easy to reach while you're still holding on to the grip. We've got up, we've got down, and that changes your pedal assist level. Go through those 5 levels. And then if you go to the right, you can see your trip distance, your odometer, and your time. And it just cycles between those, and you can hold it to reset it. If you go left, you go between your average speed, your max speed, and just your speed, how fast you're going. And then they've got some really cool settings inside the menu. If you double tap like that, it kind of opens up your wheel size. You can even adjust max speed, and there's like this kind of a special code, and I think the shops have that, or they have it on their website. So if you are someone who wants to ride off-road or tune this a little differently and go above 20 miles per hour, which is the stock setting that they sell it at, you can. So they're that you're really free that way. They also have the options of this really nice variable speed trigger throttle for the left or the right bar, twist throttle, right or left bar. So if you're someone who's left-handed versus right-handed, or you're someone who it's really crowded on the right because you've got a bunch of trigger shifters and you want your throttle on the left, you've got it. You've got anything you want there. The only downside of having this sort of like kits approach, and again, this is a nice kit. It's kind of a cut above just trying to order direct, because you've got someone helping you. You've got a modified system and that shift sensor. The only downside is still that you've got all these extra cables. They're nice, they're color matched, and they, if you do it right, you zip tie them all over. They look good, especially on this black frame. But you can see over here on the Townie, there's a bundle of cables right here. So that's a con, the aesthetics of it. There's a little bit of a little extra busyness happening there with the frames. But you do get a pretty solid product, and these things operate pretty quietly. They're pretty durable. So it might be time to just take it out and ride it around and give you a quick show outside. Hey, thanks, man. There we go, out into the hot Arizona sunshine. I'm at their headquarters again in Tempe, Arizona, and it's definitely a kind of place that makes you appreciate an electric bike. Basically, you can just go ahead and throttle it at any time, even if you're in pedal assist, so I love that. They've got throttle override is what that is. However, if you're not careful, if you put this in like a really hard gear and then you really throttle it, you can kind of burn out the MOSFETs in the motor. Those are the on and off switches that send electricity to the magnets to make this go. Long story short, if you do that, that can kind of wreck the motor. So they've worked on kind of ramping it up slowly, and they've got an option in the future where you have to pedal a couple strokes before it'll actually start, but for now, you can just go ahead and hit it. Not bad. Getting up to speed here a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pedal. There we go. And I'm in gear level 1. So the top speed I'm gonna be able to reach here is only, I think it's like 10 or 12 miles per hour. If I want to go faster than that, I actually need to change gears. So again, it's relying on, in this case, the freewheel in the back. So I'm in the largest sprocket. I'm going to go ahead and change gears to the smallest or the hardest gear. There we go. Oh, and you can hear the shift sensing happening. So I love that. That's definitely something I want to keep highlighting. So now that we're in a harder gear, if I throttle it, I'm going to be able to reach that 20 mile per hour top speed. There we go, we're getting there. So very nice, there we go, 20 miles per hour. Urge! Hit those brakes with those motor cut off. It's kind of got everything you need. There we go. Just testing the assist sensor there. So when I stop pedaling, it's like, how long does it take for the motor to stop? Very, very good. And then I can arrow down a little, take it to maybe level 1. It's just gonna be a little quieter, a little smoother. So they, the different assist levels, basically, they take you to higher speeds and they give you more power. And of course, the higher you go, the faster you're gonna use that battery. And if you're just doing the throttle all the time, of course, that's also going to use the battery more because you're not helping out as much. It's kind of it, You really get a feel for how this bike works. I'm gonna do the shift sensing again because I think that's really cool. So I'm taking it up to level 5, which is like the hardest, the most power that the motor can put out. And then I'm gonna try to shift gears. Just listen for the motor, because you'll hear it kind of pause when I actually shift gears. Okay. There we go. That's it. That's that physical shift sensor I was talking about before. That's right there in that little box. So, good stuff, good stuff. That's the 350 watt mid-drive kit, the ERAD brand from Lectric Cycles. Whether you get this on one of their bikes or you put it on your own bike, it's definitely a cool setup and definitely a cut above just going with a straight up 8Fun Bafang mid-drive yourself. These guys have put a lot of time and energy into it. They've got a lot of cool options, including that race face. And this is the most affordable way to kind of get started, and possibly one of the most affordable ways to get like a good quality electric bike. For the full write-up on this and other electric cycles, I'll see you back at electricbikereview.com.